Alrighty. It is that promised time. So, last year, I played a whole bunch of really good games. And I ended the year by doing a bit of a tier list. And that tier list happened to be between a little bit of a hot mess called Yakuza Kiwami 2, which, since I didn't finish it last year, is a this year game, especially since it's went into February of 2024. But before any of all that, how you doing, Chad? How's it going? Uh, so yeah, it's gonna be a tier list time now. When it comes to doing an actual stream of a game, I don't know if I'm gonna stream Steam World Heist tonight. I don't know. It might just be this tier list. Nice, short, sweet. Go through the tier list. Go through the games. Pretty good amount of games this year. It looks like the list is 24 long. There's a couple smaller ones I didn't just put on there. If it's anything that like I just didn't finish. But if it was like some of the Halloween stream was like a one-off one, but I put that on there just to make sure that game. Two others that I did a stream here or there. So that's what we're gonna keep in for the tier list. So let's up. All right, so we're just gonna stick with the simple S through D. So we're gonna keep this. We're gonna give a nice start. We're gonna explain like what each of these tier lists is gonna mean to me, right? So D. D's gonna be the game that I played, and I honestly should have given it up, and I probably should just have stopped playing. But I finished playing the whole game through, and I'm not better for it. I'm worse off for it. Oh well. C is, yeah. It was a game. Squid Game 2 is about my play. Yeah, it's the Baldur's. They turned Baldur's Gate 3 into a movie. They're calling it Squid Game 2. The Emperor is secure, and it's it's not like a normal television show. It's actually a reality television show. So the Emperor is whoever is currently the best mind sucker of the week, and they have like multiple different challenges. So some weeks it's implanting tadpoles into people's brains, and whichever one of them gets it out last wins. So whoever, or if they can't get it out within a certain time limit, that wins, and they go to a sudden death round. It's also who can just suck that most minds per day. Also, who has the slimiest tentacle is in fact one of their most popular challenges. And don't forget the trivia. Everybody loves the trivia. It's kind of hard because half of them are missing their brains, so it's a lot of gurgling, but I mean, hey, trivia is trivia. Everybody loves it. So yeah, so D list would be like a game I just should not have played, finished playing it anyway. I struggled through it. Oh well, whatever. C is just, yeah, it's a game. I wouldn't recommend it. I ain't gonna play it again. And D tier would be literally ones that I just say, nah, I'm not touching. B tier is a game that I have no issues playing, but I probably wouldn't stream it again if I had the choice. Like if you're like, hey, stream this game again. Nah. Probably not. It also is like it'll also be the tier for like comfort food streams. So seeing like two things on here, you already know what kind of two of those comfort foods are going to be. So yeah, B tier is like I probably wouldn't stream it again, but you know, if I no, sorry, C tier is I probably wouldn't stream it again if I was given a choice. B tier is going to be comfort food. It's going to be that thing there. I don't mind playing. It's just a game. Or if it's something that I go to regularly because I just like doing it, like I can't really throw it higher marks if it's something I played a million times and I'm just having fun with it. A tier is holy hell, I'm surprised this game existed. I'm glad that I found it and I really enjoyed playing it. I would definitely recommend this to other people. And S tier is I am going to be playing a living fuck of it. Let's see. I can. There we go. A tier is going to be, oh wow, I didn't know this game existed. I'm glad that I found out this exists. Hell yeah, this is definitely on my list of I will recommend this to people if they ever ask about it. And then S tier is the holy shit, I'm recommending this to everybody, and oh my god, I can't believe this game exists. Yes, yes, yes. Please, please, please. I hope there's another one. Oh my god, this was so good. I would definitely recommend it. So we're gonna begin in order as the year progressed. So I know what you're all thinking. You're looking at Yakuza Kiwami 2, and you're like, didn't he say his first column was for like games that were like really long that he probably just should have given up playing halfway through? So you're like, isn't Yakuza Kiwami 2 here in D tier? First off, there was a funny mod mode which added memes to it. So that instantly gets it up to C tier. Also, even though it did take a long time to go through all the different stuff and I didn't even finish everything in the game, it's still like it's still Yakuza. It is very weird how they stripped out a lot of the combat. Like they removed the stances completely, which made the game kind of repetitive because the stances really did make 0 and 1. I didn't make it, but it made the combat fun to constantly go to. So the silly mod made it a little bit better, but it still really wasn't there, except you still had the side quests. You still had fun, but some of those side quests, they were all right. If I remember, like some of them were pretty fun to go through, but I don't remember the a quest like a dominatrix one or something like that. Something like I will never forget from 1. Like, yes, this sub quest, I remember this one. So I think we're gonna put Yakuza Kiwami 2 in C. I played it through. I'm probably never gonna play it again. I'm good. The story was okay. The silly mod made it better. Also, we found that one music track. From the robot fighting game, which I still listen to today. So I agree. Love that song. Listen to it all the time. Technically, I should add that game to the tier list since I did play the whole game. Anyway, so we also have Pokemon Infinite Fusion, which is something that we started back in 2023. However, I failed the run and had to restart and play again, which I didn't do until I finished Yakuza Kiwami 2, because that was like Christmas, and I ended up like picking Fusion up halfway through because, Kiwami 2 got really long. So Infinite Fusion not only is a randomized Nuzlocke, but it is also a fusion. So randomized Nuzlocke instantly goes into B tier, would be for comfort food. It's something that I'll play again and again and again. It's really good. I'll enjoy it. The fusions, however, did become really enjoyable, and I did like how a lot of them were fused. So it really was cool because you had the massive variety of Pokemon. So I'm going to elevate Pokemon Infinite Fusion, especially since it did have some difficulty spikes in it, which made some of the fights really hard, and I have to like get them back up there. So I will put Infinite Fusion A because it's a randomized Nuzlocke, which would be comfort food. But if somebody asked me, hey, I want to do a randomized Nuzlocke, or they said, hey, I want to play a Pokemon game, how are the newer games? I'd say, hey, go check out the Infinite Fusion project. You're probably going to have a lot more fun. Just because the sheer amount of different fusions that you can get. So your runs are always vastly different. Then also we've got the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, which I actually streamed from the beginning. I only streamed like the final few streams back in 2021, I'm thinking. Yes, your favorite fusion was the Kingler fused with Kingler equaling Kingler. Yeah, I think it was 2021 is when I first streamed. Or whenever it came out, which might actually be earlier than that. It might be like 2019 or something like that. Fucking I have been doing this for a bunch of years now. So yeah, I streamed like the last couple streams of that. So I did the full playthrough this year, and I still enjoyed it. I'll put this into the comfort food tier. The game itself is fun to play. This is my second time going through it. I had just as much fun playing it the second time as I did the first time. It's Final Fantasy VII, so the story is it's always itself. The combat's good. The way the game plays. The era section is very, 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 very long. Like the section between bombing mission 2 and getting all the way through Don Cornelio's place, or whatever the fuck his name was, and getting through his sewers, and then getting to like the next part, like, oh, now you have to climb back up the shit. That part is just very long. But yeah, Final Fantasy Remake Part 1, we're putting that in B tier for comfort food. Expect Part 2 in the future at some point. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that'll be a 2029 thing. Or as Stormpike says, maybe it will be when the next part comes out, I'll be able to play that part just in time. Oh, I got to play Part 2 to get ready for Part 1. For Part 3 again. Oh, damn. Another game that we had, which was an early one, is God of Weapons. It is a roguelike where you have like a backpack slot and you end up putting items in it, and the weapons all have different abilities and effects. And I found other games that use that backpack mechanic, but it plays completely differently. So God of Weapons was pretty fun. It's a unique little roguelike that I got through a couple classes, or not a couple classes, but a good amount of them. Figuring out how builds work, although kind of getting a lot of armor ended up being like the best run. So I'll keep God of Weapons in C tier. I wouldn't call it comfort food since I really haven't played it in a bunch of months. Although I think it might have had an update recently, so I might give it like a couple hours of play again. But if I do, it won't be more than like another 5 hours, or unless I go like really deep in. I also ended up doing a I don't move yet still win run. In fact, I did 2 I don't move yet still win runs. The first one is up on my channel. The second one, the stream literally died halfway through. So all I had was half of the run where I literally stood there and beat God of Weapons on the hardest difficulty by not moving my character a single inch, by just leaving him standing flat still and letting the game win for me. So unfortunately, like that alone, being able to do Luigi does nothing and wins is pretty fun. The next one on the list is Fire Emblem Echoes. Now, this was not actually the DS Fire Emblem Echoes. This was a copy of Fire Emblem Echoes that was left out in the rain so long its graphics turned into pixel art and kind of looked a lot different than definitely a lot of people remembered. However, the Fire Emblem Echoes D-Make, as I will call that lost cartridge that I found, and definitely nothing else besides a lost cartridge that I played on my DS, was actually really good. I liked it a lot. The female protagonist actually ended up being really good. Like, I liked her story the most. The other guy's one was like whatever, but they had, the story was good. It had 2 separate campaigns that didn't meet until like the very, very end, like literally the end. Had a few difficulty spikes here or there, like the last missions kind of got annoying with like some super ranged enemies, but besides that, everything was pretty fair. Didn't have any real issues with it. Went through it and I enjoyed it. A little bit of grinding, the way the classes went up. Yeah, the Fire Emblem Echoes. I'm gonna stick that in. I won't stick it in B tier because that would be if I just did a randomized one. I'm gonna stick the Fire Emblem Echoes in A tier because A, it was my first time playing it, so maybe I'm looking at it a little bit better than I would if I played it originally. But I really liked the way that the D-Make worked. I liked all the characters in it. I liked a few like the holy dagger or whatever that was actually a pretty good, or the gold weapon that was a pretty good weapon or something like stuff like that. It's like little things here or there. I enjoyed Fire Emblem Echoes a lot. I also did like having the 2 separate parties. So it was like having like 2 just separate teams that you had to remember. Oh, whose stats were good, whose stats were bad. Oh, wait, that's right. This group doesn't have an archer. This one's archer sucks. The other group has the really good archer. So Echoes in A tier. Then we move on to Symphony of War. So this is one of those games that I did not know existed. And I don't remember who it was that pointed this out. Oh, I remember. I got this game on a Humble Bundle. So $15 a month, they put up a bunch of games that you can either open yourself or gift to other people. One of those games was Symphony of War. And what caught my attention was it was 2D graphics, and it looked kind of like Fire Emblem. So when I saw it on the free list, I went, you know what? I might as well just slap it in there. I'll take this code for myself. I'll give this game a try. It sat on my Steam library for a while until this year when I decided, you know what? I know I just finished a Fire Emblem game, but let's see what this game is like, because I was enjoying Fire Emblem that much that I just kind of like wanted to dive into something that was semi-similar. That was Symphony of War, and Symphony of War is right in the S tier. Like, no doubt about it. Symphony of War is an S tier, and I am eagerly awaiting their next game. Some of the chatters who showed up for that game were saying that they actually were going to be making a sequel, and they were working on it. So I'm glad that they are. It's one of those RPG Maker games that even though they're RPG, even though it's made in the baseline RPG Maker, they ended up doing something very special with it. I liked it a lot. The gameplay was great. I liked making the squads. I liked the different characters that were the leads. The story was okay as well. But just being able to make your different squads, being able to organize them, position them where you want to position them, get different skills on all of your people, upgrade their levels. So you do like 1 hour missions, then you spend 1 hour organizing your teams again, buying everything, adding new people in. It's really good tactical, that like turn-based tactical RPG. I liked it a lot. Yeah, true. Like the MC was just some kind of like blank character here or there, and then you had like the rogue just taking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take it all. I am the spotlight here. I also liked having the team where the MC had all the defensive guys. Also, I liked being able to name the troop members because they were just generically named, so I was able to name them after people in chat. So I liked having like the group of Stormpike just being like the infinite defense wall that nothing could get through. Or having Fire just be the deadly dragon in the back. I know there's also a couple other chatters that we have, but I don't remember your names. I just don't remember them. I have to go back and open up the file to remember who you are. But yeah, so Symphony of War, that goes right in the S tier. Didn't know it existed. I'm so glad I played it, and I will definitely, if somebody was saying, hey, I like Fire Emblem, I'd be like, play Symphony of War. Play it. It's great. Next game would be Biomorph. This is one that one of my mods, Fire is Good, recommended after playing through it himself. It is a Castlevania. So instantly, just from saying those words, it goes in the B tier just because it is a Castlevania. And then we have to judge it further than that. So it did have some good movement. I did have to go back and get some new characters. Some of the boss fights were a bit tougher. I think like 2 of them were really tough, and a couple of them I got a little bit easier. The last fight I had to retry a couple times, but it was something that I ended up learning how to do slowly but surely, so I was able to get through it. So I'm actually going to put Biomorph up in A tier for myself because it's a game I didn't know existed. Fire is Good recommended it to me. I played it, and I'm glad I played it. It's definitely something that if I had to play again and was like, oh, hey, do you want to play a Metroidvania? Oh, you want to play one of the Castlevanias again or something else? Or what about Biomorph? Oh, yeah, I remember Biomorph. Yeah, I'll give that a try again. Because you had like different weapons and different teleports, and you could fight with different styles, how you want to fight. So it kind of reminded me a little bit of Hollow Knight along with everything else. So yeah, Biomorph, put that in A tier. It was a nice little surprise. And a couple of years down the line, if I'm looking for another one, I'll probably play it again. Next game we have is Strangeland, which is something I kind of like streamed on a weekend and just kind of like did it like 2 Sundays in a row, and I think I beat it in like 3 streams or something like that. It's basically a puzzle adventure game, a point and click adventure game in a small area where you got to use all the items in your inventory to figure out the puzzles, and he's trapped in some kind of death carnival with a bunch of weird characters, and it's good. It's good. It was good. Strangeland was good. I enjoyed it a lot. I'll put that B in there. It's not really comfort food. So here's the problem with Strange World. It's not exactly comfort food because it's not something that I play multiple times and been like, oh, I've played Strangeland every some odd years for so long. But since it is a point and click adventure, I did enjoy it, but I don't know if I would just be like, hey, go play Strangeland. Hey, you. Yes, you in chat right now. You go play it. It was really good. Play it. I dare you. Play it. It's great. It's something that I'd just be like, oh, you like point and click adventure games? Oh, well, there's one called Strangeland that could be kind of nice. It's pretty shorter than some would be, and it doesn't have too many complete bullshit ass pulls for puzzle solutions. So there you go. But if you weren't someone who wasn't even like, if you didn't say, hey, I want to play a point and click adventure game, I wouldn't mention Strangeland. In fact, I didn't even remember I streamed it until I pulled up my VODs on YouTube and went, oh yeah, Strangeland. So I'm gonna put that in B tier because unlike C tier, where it's something I probably wouldn't play again, it'd probably be something, or I'm like, I played it, but I kind of wish I didn't play it. No, I'm glad I played it. But I'm not so glad, and the genre it is, I can't just recommend it to everybody. So I'll keep that nice and B. True. Yep. Same thing with like Biomorph. Although Biomorph, I would say, hey, do you like? If you said you were looking for an action game, I would still recommend Biomorph for that instead of just a generic Castlevania. Same with Pokemon Fusion. Almost everybody knows Pokemon, so hey, if you're looking for a good Pokemon game, try Fusion. And the same thing with the Fire Emblems demake. Well, the demake is just because I really enjoyed it, even though that would normally go into comfort food. I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely say, hey, either go play this version or go find the demake. You might also find a lot of other fun stuff on the wet outside cartridges place where I got the cartridge for this. So the next one is, I don't even need to like preamble this that much, but Felvidec goes right into S tier. All right. So what makes S tier unique currently is that both games that I have in S tier were made on a basis of RPG Maker. So that somehow is tying both of our things together, including I actually played another game this year called Scarmon, but I didn't do it on stream, which was another one that was made in RPG Maker, like an NES one. Oh, that would also be an S tier, but I didn't stream it, so that doesn't go there. So yeah, so Felvidec is taking a historical area you don't normally see. So that would be in like the Balkan area. So between Russia and Turkey and in that area. Because even some of the enemies in there were just Turks. Like the Turks were in there taking over certain areas. So this is like a little bit of historical realism because the way the lordship worked or the barony worked, the way that you had the Orthodox Church guy who was part of it as well, the priest, and you like different historical things and the armor that they wore and the way that they fought. Like one of his abilities is even half-handing, which is actually a way of fighting with a sword, where you put your hand on the half of the sword so you can control it a bit better. You get less power but more control. And then you combine just a little bit, just a fraction, just a small amount of supernatural stuff. And it's an RPG where you're like wandering the map, and you do get into some good old-fashioned turn-based battles with unique abilities that, while some of the fights can be hard, aren't really like devastatingly powerful. It's not like, oh, I got you. Like when you get into a random fight with just a group of enemies, and it's not even a boss, it's just a difficult fight. But it's like the only RPG kind of fight you're going to have in a while, because the rest of it is exploring the world and interacting with other people, and you only have to do a little bit here and there. It's really good. Felvidec is really good. Both of the characters, the main character is just a drunk. The secondary character is just a drunk monk. And they're both being just like not the best people together, but you know what? They work with each other really well. It was very fun to play, and it was short and sweet. It lasted about 2 streams, maybe a little bit over 2 streams. Played it, got in, got out, got a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Felvidec a lot, and I'm pretty sure even my mods enjoyed Felvidec a lot. So that just goes straight into S tier. I would be like, hey, you want to play a game? Go play Felvidec. It's really good. I like it a lot. Go play it. Felvidec was just really good. S tier all the way for all the reasons I just said. Next, we're going to have Fallout 1. So, Fallout 1, I was more surprised by how much I actually enjoyed it, more than I thought I might. When I first started playing Fallout 1, it was probably going to be in a C tier, because I had that initial learning curve of, okay, you need to build your character kind of in a certain way, otherwise you might have issues. However, I lucked out by having just enough agility points where I could get 2 attacks in per round using certain weapons, basically a knife. And after playing Fallout for a while, Fallout actually ended up going right into B tier. There was at the beginning when I just couldn't find where I was supposed to go, and I wandered around and I just found like a bunch of things, and I died to the same raiders again and again by accident, and I'm like, okay, I can't do any of these quests before I finally found a place that I could go, slowly gain some experience, figure out my fighting style, end up using my abilities. And then we got to the end of Fallout 1 where I had the power sledge that I could use for 3 AP, which means that I could actually swing twice per round. And I was literally stuffing myself with drugs, reloading and brute forcing very difficult bosses with just like rolling the dice for RNG and just being like, no, I'm going to keep doing this. Skipping a little bit of story beats here or there because I was able to brute force my way through things. So I'm going to say Fallout 1. I don't know if I would put it in an A tier because, like, first off, it's Fallout 1. If you like this type of game, you'll probably like Fallout 1. If you like something that's slower, an older computer game, which I do enjoy. So just figuring that out and then just brute forcing my way through the end, just being like, fuck it, smash, 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 take drugs, smash. You can't stop me, can't stop this. Everyone dies. Out of my way, murder hobo moving through. And just having enough items and money and balancing that out and doing a few quests here or there. I really, really, really enjoyed Fallout. I can't put it in an A tier when it comes to streams, since I probably will not play it again. Maybe in a bunch of years when I'm like, oh yeah, Fallout 1 again. I want to relive that game. So I'm going to put that in B. That'd be a nice B tier. It's not exactly comfort food, but it's a game now that I've played it. When people say I really liked Fallout 1 and I understand the mood of Fallout 1, I'd be like, yeah, I get that. I too enjoyed older games and I like Fallout 1. I still am going to play Fallout 2 at some point. Apparently Fallout 2 gets a bit more jokier and a lighter with the tone a little bit. So that's more like kind of the Fallout that I know, because I know like the joke is Fallout started at Fallout 3, which for me it literally did. But going back and playing Fallout 1, especially knowing what type of game it is, I enjoyed it thoroughly. So we're just going to leave that in B tier. Then is another special game. Was it New Vegas before the 3? No, it was 3. It was Fallout 3 and then New Vegas, and then Fallout 4 came out. Then after Fallout 4 was Fallout 69 or whatever the fuck it was called. The one that was like an MMO. So the next one on the list is another special game. 76, there you go. All I know is Country Roads Take Me Home. That's the only thing I remember about that Fallout. Fallout, nice. So then we have Cryptmaster, which I had only heard. I watched a streamer called Vinesauce play the first minute of Cryptmaster. I heard the Cryptmaster's voice. I saw him typing in words to do the first combat. I instantly turned off the stream and went, I need to play this. I was not disappointed. Cryptmaster was really fun to play. I enjoyed the classic dungeon crawl, moving forward, moving side to side, moving backward, left and right. I really enjoyed that. I liked the system of having to type in words. Like, that also is, first off, incredibly fucking unique mechanic. Like it's like typing of the dead, but you just put into a dungeon crawler. I really like that mechanic. The typing in words was used for everything, not just combat, but interactions, trying to get things done, getting to talk with things. Cryptmaster was really good. And the other thing that made Cryptmaster really fucking good, it had a lot of interaction with the chat. Because the chat can tell me about words that I wasn't even thinking of, for characters I wasn't even thinking of, and be like, hey, try this word. Or, hey, what's the puzzle? Try this word. So that just made, like, Cryptmaster not only is a good game, it's a good stream game. So Cryptmaster, I'm putting an S tier. Not just so if it was just me playing the game by myself, it probably would have been an A, maybe falling to B tier. But because it was a great game to play with chat, and chat made the game more fun, straight into S tier. I love these streams. Cryptmaster was really fun. Elden Ring DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree. So initially, this goes into B tier because it's comfort food. It's more Elden Ring, and I love Souls games. I love Elden Ring. What can you do better? However, the DLC was really enjoyable. Lots of tough bosses. Some of them took me a long time to fight because I wasn't powered up enough, except for the final boss, which I definitely was powered up enough for. But holy fuck, that boss just sucks ass. So I'm putting Shadow of the Erdtree in A tier. It is normally comfort food in B tier, but it was new DLC that was just some of the best exploration that Elden Ring even had. Like, it really was. There were some places that I was going to, like when you're going into the graveyards and you go into like the deep, dark graveyards below before you get all the way down to St. Trina. Like, that was, I just loved getting down there and finding that. I enjoyed that so much. Next game we're going to have is Etrian Odyssey 1. So Etrian Odyssey was another dungeon crawler, played not that far after Cryptmaster, but Etrian Odyssey is more of a classic RPG and a dungeon crawler. So you've got your party of 4, you move up, back, left, right in your different tiles. While you're exploring the tiles, you actually fill it out on your map. You can even draw in the map on the sides and put all the different markers. So you had like that little bit of extra fun exploration, which is a good use of the touch screen on the DS. Some games just put like an extra map, but this one having you actually be like, hey, just like in the old days when I would use a pen and paper and I would draw out the map or something like that, like you'd use in a book. So Etrian Odyssey did that really well. I'm going to stick Etrian Odyssey in B tier. It was a fun game to play. It took a while to get through it, and some of it was a bit grindy. I also missed the teleportation items, which without the teleportation items, this game is such a... is like with if this game did not have the teleport to town item, this would instantly be in, yeah, I'm not touching this game series again, but it did have it. So I'm going to put Etrian in comfort food. Probably because I'm probably going to play the second game on my own, unless everybody wants me to stream the second game. I was thinking of streaming the third one, since it slowly gets more polished. I know there's up to like 4, so maybe I should play just 2 and 3 on my own, and then maybe go back to streaming the newer ones again. But honestly, I'm up to streaming probably another one of them, since it was enjoyable enough. Just, now knowing what I know. But yeah, Etrian Odyssey was a fun time to play. It's definitely comfort food. I'll probably play, like I said, 2 on my own, just because I want to play it and have some fun doing it. Speaking of everyone's comfort food, I said this like a bunch of times. Oh yeah, I'll stream 4. I was planning on streaming with the new one anyway, yeah. 3 I haven't seen yet. Okay. That sounds good. So, but yeah, speaking of comfort food, Pokemon Platinum. Pokemon Platinum, it's just a randomized Nuzlocke. It's just a randomized Nuzlocke. You know what they're like. I play them a lot. I always enjoy them. There's like, unless a run of a Nuzlocke is so somehow bad, like unless like even when I fail, it's still fun. So unless something messed with it somehow, or maybe like I found like, here's a version of Pokemon, it's gonna be like Infinite Fusion, and it was just like a homemade brewed one that was like really shit. Like, there's almost no way a randomized Nuzlocke is gonna go below B tier. Like, they're just gonna be good and fun. So, in fact, you're about to hit a long stream of B tiers. So, speaking of comfort food, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. This was the first Castlevania game I ever played. I played it back on my DS. They just released a Castlevania DS collection, so which is why I decided to stream this during October. I did one entire stream of this. I did a build I hadn't done before. Got really, really far until the very end, final boss, where I had to literally gimmick my way to beating it, which was also kind of fun to do. So yeah, Castlevanias aren't really that hard unless you actually fuck around with stuff. So you're never gonna have a real struggle, but it's just fun to go through, just exploring, getting the powers, seeing everything again, getting your items, just a neat little thing. 7-hour experience. Get it in, get it out. Then of course, Dark Souls 1 randomized, Nuzlocke. Not Nuzlocke, but Dark Souls 1 randomized. Look, I do this every year. And every year this is going to get B tier. It's Dark Souls 1. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I like how slowly it moves. Like, Dark Souls 1 moves so slowly, it's not even an action game. It's almost turn-based. Which, after me streaming it like 4 times as randomized, you kind of can see that. It kind of is just turn-based. Especially if you have a weapon that can do stagger, you hit the enemy first, they stagger, you win. You don't, or they gang up on you. You gotta mess around with some items, figure out how to beat some bosses maybe. But the slowing is so slow, the attacking is so slow. It's very tactical more than it is an action. So Dark Souls 2 randomized, love it. Do it. I've done it every single year that I've streamed, and I'm gonna do it again this year as well. So can't stop me. Can't stop. Won't stop. Then we go back to another Castlevania, Portrait of Ruin. Portrait of Ruin, just another really good DS Castlevania. So it doesn't have the same abilities that Soma has, since you're using 2 characters, which I wish this came back. They really need to do this again. Jonathan and Charlotte are just really, really, really enjoyable. Like, Soma has his 3 powers. The bullet one, the one that you can use as an active attack, one that's an aura, and then one that's a passive, and of course his weapons. So you have like a little bit of magic built into your melee guy. It's, it's fun. It's solid. You can build up your different powers. You get new souls, and you can work them to you the way you want. Portrait of Ruin has 2 characters. One's your magic caster, and one's your melee guy. The melee guy has a bunch of physical weapons, and the magic person has a bunch of magic. Being able to actually swap between them both and have like call in Charlotte just to use some magic to obliterate something, great. I love it. It's really cool. And they have combo attacks too. Like the next DS Castlevania they did, they took in a completely different direction again. But I know Konami really isn't making Castlevania games, but if they did another like Portrait of Ruin, like, they don't even have to use Jonathan and Charlotte, although Jonathan, Charlotte, like, come on, it's meme-tastic. But if they just had 2 protagonists that worked again like that, and they just put it in a new one, fuck yeah. Or hell, if just another franchise did a Metroidvania where they had 2 people like this and you could bounce between them, it's so good. It's a really good idea. I like the hell out of it. Then we have Pilgrim. I did this once with one of my mods. Is Dastardly Dave a mod? I think he is. I think he might be. I don't know. So we played this. This is a one-time one. It's God, how do I even categorize it? So it's one of those things that you just kind of play it. It goes through, you explore dungeons. You can die really easy. You have to get back to the cart before the shadow catches up to you in the nighttime, and eventually you have this giant who follows you, who can kill you, and you got to kind of play together. It's made it's made to be a multiplayer game where a group of people play it, and a bunch of people chatter and make jokes, and they fuck up and they die, and everyone's like, "Oh, what the hell's happening? Oh my god, what is this?" And you try to progress, but then you die, and you go back to the set for the roguelike. I probably would have played it with Dastardly Dave again if he asked, but he didn't ask, so I'm going to put Pilgrim in the D tier. Not because it's bad at what the game is. Like, the game type it is was good, and it was fun to do the one-off stream, but I probably won't be playing it with anybody. Dave probably won't be asking me to play it again. So Pilgrim is just a game that I don't want to like putting it in D tier is like, ow. Like, I don't want to hurt whatever the developer is, because the concept of the game was pretty fun and neat to do. But it's what's it called? Strange Company? No, not Strange Company. Oh, Strange Company? Isn't that the game that came out this year too? So it's kind of like in the same vein. It's a multiplayer game where you get a bunch of different streamers together and they all play it and they all get Lethal Company. There you go. Thank you. Yep, Lethal Company. You were right on that one. So, yep. Pilgrim was fun. Some of the things were just kind of like especially trying to dodge the giant and you had to close the gate. You were like on a real pinpoint timing no matter how fast you were. We'll just keep that in D. Then we have Funeralopolis. So we're getting into like the Halloween game. So Castlevania was Halloween, Castlevania was Halloween, Pilgrim was Halloween, Funeralopolis. Funeralopolis was a very short game. I was able to do it in one stream. It was only like an hour, like a little bit over an hour. So I would want to put Funeralopolis in B tier. However, I like the atmosphere. The story was building up. I liked being able to check the radio, but it kind of just ended when you easily could have had another hour of expanding where the story goes from here. Because the guy was being slowly corrupted by some kind of eldritch thing. There was a very totalitarian government hanging around, keeping an eye on everything. You were trying to cover it up. Like things are starting to show, and then your character just kind of goes, "Yep, I'm infected. Kill me," or whatever happens. And it's like, he's infected by the hand. All right, game over. You're in the eldritch world now, and it's like, I could have had him been slowly more infected, going more insane, seeing what was happening. So Funeralopolis definitely could have at least doubled its time. Like there was still plenty of story to tell before you ended off at like an ambiguous eldritch ending. So I'll keep that in C tier. It's not so long that I'll never play it again. So because it was only an hour, but I probably won't play it again unless you actually told me, oh yeah, they did more. Otherwise, just be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that game. So Funeralopolis C tier. I don't regret playing it. It's not a bad game. It just had more story to tell, and it just ended. So maybe whoever was doing that game will come back to it another year and add a little bit more. Who knows? Or maybe they'll make another one that has the same vein of how the game looked and how the game played, and was a PS1 style looking game that wasn't just that isn't just like a horror, like a spooky thing coming at you horror. Ooh, we remade Resident Evil 1 again. Ooh, or spooky ice cream truck coming to kill you. It was a nice little Eldritch Horror short story. Just a little bit too short. Next up, we got World of Horror, B tier. I play it every year. I'll probably play it again this year. It's World of Horror. It at least gets one stream every Halloween. I know there's some mods I could get for it to add more stuff to it, but I don't have everything in the base game anyway. I do kind of wish the creator of this would add a few more things here or there, because the way this game's style and the way the game works, he could add like just a bunch of other mysteries, and I would be all in for it. Like every time, like, oh, every Halloween I add another story to it, and I'd be like, yep, I'm still playing it until I find that new story. Instead of seeing like the ramen one a million times. So really good game. I like it a lot. The music, the atmosphere, everything about World of Horror is great. If he's working on another version of it, or if he's working to maybe add some maps, I would love it. Hell yeah. Next, we've got Signalis. So Signalis started up here in A for me because it was playing through a Resident Evil 1 style game with pixel graphics, and it looked really neat, and I liked the way that the story was progressing, and I liked the way that everything went. It even had a fake out ending. But some of the areas, I don't know, I can't say it's bad, but Signalis for me should be an A tier. But it's probably going to be in C tier. And I think the hardest thing about it is trying to describe why I put it in C tier. It wasn't so long that I had to force myself to keep playing it. I enjoyed playing it. I liked the different puzzles. Some of the puzzles I kind of had to like take a quick look because I wasn't sure what the hell was going on. And once you got near the end of the game with some of the combat was very daunting. I was able to get my way through some of it. I did run through a lot of things not to fight because we only had limited supplies, and there were some areas where I still ran out of bullets, and I had to like weirdly brute force and sneak past things, which is a fun thing added to it. So like I said, Signalis, it should be an A tier. I enjoyed the story. I like the way that the game looks and plays, but I think we were getting like near the end. I thought we were near the end like a couple times, and it just kept going. And I'm not talking about like the fake out ending. The fake out ending was really neat, and how you ended up doing it through again. But Signalis is I'm gonna put Signalis in C tier, and I'll say it's because I'll probably never play it again. If somebody said, "Hey, should I play Signalis?" I'll probably be like, "Yeah, you should play Signalis." If you were looking, if you think a Resident Evil 1 style game is your jam, you should play it. If not, yeah, you can probably just kind of skip over it. Though it is a real nice, for what it is, it's really nice. It was another Humble Bundle game, but I like the atmosphere a lot. Like that's what you'll find a lot with a lot of these games. I really love the atmosphere, but there's just something in the gameplay that just ends up like slowing it down and dragging it out. And also inventory slots, juggling around with those after a while, or like, oh, you need a key item, but you don't have enough room for the key item, and you can't just drop an item here. You have to go all the way back to your case to deposit it, then go back to it. It's like, oh god. Or I had to just like reset and reload a couple points to go through it. So yeah, Signalis and C, not as bad as what C tier might show you, but we'll put it there. Then we had Stygian. So like Signalis, Stygian is going in A tier. It is a role-playing game in the Western kind of sense of the word, where you're mostly doing the role-playing, where you're talking with people, solving mysteries, and combat is like on the secondary spectrum, where like you'll do, like, it's kind of like Felvedek. You'll do combat here and there, but the main part of the game is not combat. The main part is going through the story, and it's kind of like Baldur's Gate, is figuring out how to get through. Although Baldur's Gate has many, or Divinity 2 has many ways of going around different things. This also had a few ways of going about different missions and doing different quests. Also, once again, the atmosphere and the art were immaculate. I enjoyed the art so much. I would be thinking about maybe S tier, but the ending kind of wasn't there. Like, it didn't really, like, it feels like I was still missing stuff. Even though I went through the spooky house, got abducted by aliens, did alien thing, and then, like, I didn't really find out more about the cults or what was going on. It kind of just dropped off the cliff, where I thought there was more game and there just wasn't. Otherwise, like, if there was more game, I might actually be considering putting Stygian into S tier, because of how much I enjoyed going through it, and how much the art looked great, and the characters, like the old timey 1800s characters, where they did all the Lovecraft lore and all that, was just really nice in there. But I'm gonna stick it in an A tier. It's definitely a game I would recommend to people, and in a bunch of years, if I wanted to play it again, I'd probably play it. But yeah, Stygian just ended just off. Maybe like Funeralopolis, it had more story to tell and just stopped telling it. Then we have Mario and Luigi Brothership. I haven't played a Mario Luigi game since my freshman year of college, when I played Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Just like the Game Boy Advance, just like the Inside Story, Mario and Luigi plays the exact same way you expect it. Time your button props when you do it. You're exploring the world with the RPG, except the combat's a bit more actiony the way it does. Time your blocks, do your attacks. The game went pretty good. I would probably have stuck Mario and Luigi into A tier. But, and I know other people will definitely have different opinions on this. To me, the ending kind of just like I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. But then they like have you go find a second scientist and spend time on a whole new island. Then you go to Zocket's Fortress just to fight Bowser a second time. Then you gotta go do a whole bunch of side missions. Then you gotta go finally find the final boss. You go through the final dungeon, and then he goes, aha, you thought the game was over. Have an extra hour of gameplay where you kind of flaff around the Mushroom Kingdom, and you're like, all right. all right, hold up here. I did a dungeon just to get the Bowser. Then I did another dungeon just to get to another fake final boss. You could have skipped the whole Bowser one, made me fight the fake out final boss, then put me in a mind control helmet instead of doing this finding the second scientist, and then ended the game on the final boss, and I would have been like, bravo, great game, I enjoy this a lot. But I'm just gonna put that in comfort food. It's like other Mario and Luigi games. If you said, hey, do you want to play Mario and Luigi Brothership again? I'd go, yeah, probably. In some point I'd play it again. Same thing with Bowser's Inside Story, or even one of the Game Boy Advance ones. I'd probably be like, yeah, I'll play that game again. It's been a long time. I'll go bing bing wahoo, jump off people's heads. So I'm gonna stick that one in B tier. And the final game that I completed this year, there were also a couple others. There was Warhammer Bolt Gun, which is a boomer shooter, which I didn't finish, so I'm not putting that in the tier list. There was also another one that I remembered that I didn't finish. I don't remember. I know there's like a few others that I just didn't finish. Oh, well, Space Marine I couldn't continue playing, so that one is definitely not even on the list. Yeah, Space Marine 2, my computer just was chugging so hard, even with low settings, that's on the back burner until I get a new PC. So it's not because it was Warhammer. It's just I didn't finish playing it, because there was actually other Warhammer games I played on my own off stream that were actually really good. Like, I played a Warhammer game that's kind of like Fire Emblem, where you like were doing missions, and each mission got you different things, but you had to do them in like timed, like in certain amount of turns. Well, because you were like moving across like a grid, and to go through, like, you had to do dungeons, and each dungeon you had to go from level to level to level. So like that actually would like be like an A tier game, the one I played, but I didn't do it on stream, so it's not on the list. S for Snoutlift, yeah. And then, so that's a few of the games that I didn't stream. Of course, ones that I didn't actually stream, I'm not putting up here, but ones I didn't finish, I'm not putting up here as well. I put Pilgrim here, not to disparage it, because I did actually play it. We did a couple runs. I count that as a streaming the way the game as it was meant to do, because it wasn't meant to finish a story. So finally, the last game of the year was Tunic. The bee turned into the smiley with the shades, yeah. So yeah, Tunic. It is a Zelda-like. It's a top-down Zelda-like game. Maybe I'm in the minority. But I had a fan-fucking-tastic time with Tunic. I enjoyed the fighting style. I enjoyed exploring. Once I figured out how I was supposed to level my character up, it was great. And that is what makes Tunic. It hits one of the pillars of gameplay that makes me just like fall in line and just want to never stop playing. So two of those tenets will be having a customizable team or customizable characters in which I am able to have lots of different choices, and using those choices being able to build different types of builds. I really like that a lot. It's why I really like randomized Pokemon Nuzlocke, because the team can just be crazy stuff I never would normally have used that's always different. It has so much variety and team building, where even though it's a Nuzlocke, I can still kind of choose who and where I want by what TMs I get or who I get that are in the box. So stuff like that, which is also one of the things why like Symphony of War is hit me so well, because I just love that ability of making your own squads and nitpicking all their little stats and getting them to really good. Like, so that, once again, something like that. So that's why another reason why Baldur's Gate 3 hits me so well. There's so many different character builds and different things you can do, and synergies and items, and just like there's just so much variety that's open to you to build what you want and have synergies that can be broken bullshit where you're just like, yes, eat shit and die. I spent hours building this crazy combination of stuff, and it worked out really well. I love this. So that's one of the pillars that just hits me right in my oh yeah button. Another one of those is exploration. There's a lot of games in which I can never play again because the exploration is done only like one time. Elden Ring is kind of like that, because unlike other Souls games, since it's not the same thing in a row, so I have to randomize Elden Ring to play it again. I can't play it normal. I pretty much just cannot play it normal. I have to randomize it from now on. Same thing like Pokemon. But the way Tunic did its exploration, it wasn't just exploring the map, but you didn't have like a map to pull up. You had an old-fashioned booklet, like you would have if you bought a physical game that would be in this little game case. You'd have your little booklet, and in the booklet, it will tell you base things about the game. And this one had it written mostly in a different language, where you had to go from pictures. It had small hints as you found the pages amongst the world to slowly tell you things. You had to understand how, like, if you know how A Link to the Past works, you can figure out a lot of mechanics of this game. In fact, there were some mechanics I didn't even know existed. Like, you can combine, if you have two different sub-weapons on and use them at the same time, you can get different effects. Like, you could turn, like, ice lasers and shit. I didn't know that until, like, near the end of the game. So stuff like that is just like, wow, you could do that? That's awesome. Or some things that, like, once you find out that you could do it, like, you could kneel in front of things and activate them at any time in the game. But you don't find out until, like, a third in, and then you're like, oh wow, I just unlocked the power up so I could do more Metroidvania stuff, when technically you could have done it the entire fucking time. It's like the wall jump in Metroid, almost said Metroid Prime, in Super Metroid. You can actually jump off the walls at any time in Super Metroid, but if you don't know how to do it, you might not get certain places. But if you know how to do it, then you can just do it anywhere. You could just do it. You just didn't know you could do it. So yeah, so something like that, and just finding it out, and then like spending, like, I did a 7-hour stream of Tunic where I was just finding random relics and trying to find. I went over every area in the world again just to see if I could find where I could find them, and there was only like 2 of them I needed to actually look up, and the rest I found all on my own. And there were like 14 of them. Like, it was just a lot, and I just did it for fun. And then of course, trying to figure out what the golden path was. That was like an entire. That was like an hour plus stream of me, and that included like the 7-hour stream where I was like, I spent like 2 hours trying to figure out what the fuck the golden path even was, before I finally realized that it had nothing to do with what I was collecting, and I had to start all over with like, what the hell was I doing? But yeah, so Tunic, it hit the one thing that I one of my pillars of gameplay that makes me love games. The first one, like I said, a vast amount of variety, being able to build characters and being able to go back multiple times in a game and keep playing it multiple times while making different builds. And then exploration. Exploration's a lot easier to pull off sometimes. No, exploration's harder to pull off because you actually have to make it fun to explore. But when you do, it's great. Problem is, once you find a great exploration game and you explore it, kind of loses its magic, which makes exploration games like this just that even more of a. Just makes that more of a. How do I even want to say it? It just makes it more of a special because it's kind of like a fleeting gem. Like, I've played Tunic once, and I could probably play it again. But now, knowing most of the secrets, it would just be trying to like speed run the game, or just trying to go through things really quick. Because now that I know it, that gem of exploration is kind of just gone. Like the same thing with like Elden Ring. I had to randomize Elden Ring for me to be able to play it again. I just kind of got bored on separate run-throughs because you just kind of had to go to every single dungeon, get the exact things that you needed to make a build, which that's one thing that does make Elden Ring extra fun, is the fact that you can do builds. Oh, I want to do an archer, I want to do summons, I want to do magic, I want to do holy, I want to do strength, I want to do two-handing. So that's why Elden Ring stays always just a bit more fun. Even though the exploration gets cut out after a while, you still have the basic Souls gameplay that adds on it. But yeah, so that's my tier list for 2024. Oh, yeah. Because I was sitting there just like staring at numbers and trying to figure out what any of this actually means, and a few things that they had written in. And like, there was no way of actually translating the rest of the dialogue that was written there. So yeah, it was kind of like an ARG almost. We had a kind of. But yeah, so that's my tier list for 2024. I really like these games a lot. If anything, like, if I was to, so this is my official tier list right here. This is all the games that I played last year on stream and how I would rank them. If I had to rank these games by what is good stream games, however, this list would be very slightly different. This would be my tier list if it was down there. This would be my tier list if it was stream games. So, Cryptmaster was good because it was on stream. Felvedek was short and sweet, and and people were paying attention a lot. More people came into this game than people came in to watch this game just to watch this game. Like, that happens every once in a while, where I will get somebody who just shows the fuck up to literally just be like, aha, you're playing that game. I love this game. I will be here until you finish streaming that game. Once you finish streaming that game, you will never see me again. I had that on Symphony of War. I had that on Fire Emblem games. I have that in Pokemon games. And I have that in one of the games that I played where Bobby Bob first showed up. Can't think of the name of that game right now. Where like people were like, I watched you play the whole game. I loved it, and then and then they never come back again. So that's always those, like, just some of those games. But yeah, so Felvedek stays in S because it was short and sweet, and people did really like how it went. Cryptmaster literally had the chat chiming in all the time. Randomized Nuzlocke, people love the fuck out of that, and then Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. Actually, Erdtree's for normal people it would be up here, but for me, since I'm a smaller streamer, it's like down here, like. A few people watched, and that was about it. Didn't really pull anybody else that was special. But yeah. But yeah, that would be. This would be in my, like, just the stream tiers. Because the Castlevanias were good games to stream, but they weren't anything that made like, oh wow, somebody's playing Portrait of Ruin. Oh man, that's amazing. But yeah, so going back to the other one. This is... So yeah, this would be back to what I think the official but yeah, there was almost like, even though Pilgrim is in D rank, I don't regret playing it. But it was something I'll probably never play again, and I won't suggest it, or unless someone else suggests it. But yeah, these are all the games that I played last year. I enjoyed it. We're currently working on a few some new ones now. I can guarantee a couple. I can guarantee there's going to be another Fire Emblem game at some point. I can guarantee there's going to be a randomized Nuzlocke. I can guarantee another long form RPG. We're already playing like a tactical shooter, which I don't know if I am going to stream tonight. I think I'm just going to finish this tier list here and end stream. Unless the people who are currently here want to actually need something to have background noise, then I might stream a little bit of SteamWorld. But I'm kind of out of talking, even though instead of doing their voices right now. So yeah, that'll be the stream. That's my tier list. Hopefully this New Year's tier list is just as filled with great games as I played here. I enjoyed them all. Oh, that's right. This was what was different. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. I'll probably end stream here unless everybody unless a bunch of people need some more background noise, and then I'll stream a little Steam. Actually, maybe I won't even do that. My voice is kind of out of it. Say it needs more Pokemon. Oh, 3 randomized Nuzlockes each year. You know what? I might actually do that for you. I'll probably do an Infinite Fusion again at some point too. Maybe near the end of the year. I do have a couple bad translated Pokemon, which if you were here for my Vietnamese Pokemon playthrough where I had to literally figure out what the words meant as their attacks because they had nothing to do with what their attacks were. When I get to that one, it is going to be a long stream of figuring out what the fuck things mean. Thank you all for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow. Streams as always. Have a good night, everybody.